Hey guys, Monke AU here with another video. Today we're going to be matchmaking and predicting a number one contender fight for every single division of the UFC. Let's get straight into it. Flyweight, we're going to go with Brandon Royval versus Kai Kara France. Now, the justification for this is Royval is coming off the win over Brandon Moreno, and Kai Kara France arguably won his fight against Albazi, who is number three, and also he just knocked out Steve Erceg. So these two, they've got very impressive resumes, and then we're going to put them against each other in a fight, well, for the rematch actually. And my prediction is I think Kai Kara France is going to knock out Royval in the second round, because in the first fight, I think it was Kai Kara France knocked down Royval, then Royval hit him with a spinning elbow, which is one of the most insane sequences I've ever seen in a fight. I think that Kai Kara France is evolving, and I think his striking is getting better and better and better. And I doubt this fight's going to go to the ground, so I don't think we're going to have to account for wrestling. Unless they both realize this and then do it. But I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they're about that life. Still, I think Kai Kara France is going to knock out Royval probably pretty early into the fight. And I think regardless, this will be a great number one contender fight. Both coming off impressive wins. Next fight at bantamweight. Now, disclaimer for the rest of the video, they're going to be like actual number one contenders who we all know are going to be fighting for the belt. And then the other, number one contenders that we're matchmaking here, Anyway, so in bantamweight, we have Petr Yan versus Davison Figueiredo. I predict Petr Yan to edge this out by decision. Pause. I think this because I think Petr Yan's wrestling is good enough to counteract Davison Figueiredo's if he ever does shoot for a takedown. And I think Peter's boxing is stronger overall. But he's coming off some pretty severe injuries off the Song Yadong fight, and Davison Figueiredo does have a lot of momentum. Plus, his hands are actually getting pretty good. I mean, I know he knocked down Marlon Vera, but that's basically because Sugar Sean O'Malley blew his head off with a flying knee. But still, Davison Figueiredo's got some mean hands, but Peter's a dog. You can't put him out. So I've got Peter getting this done by decision, because I don't think either of these guys are being knocked out. Next fight in the featherweight division. Now again, actual number one contender, Max Holloway, who's obviously been booked for UFC 308. But still, the next fight to make, in my opinion, is Brian Ortega versus Movsar Evloev. Obviously, Movsar is coming off a controversial win to Arnold Allen, who is, I think, number 5 in the world, so it's very impressive. And Brian Ortega has been at the top for years now, and he's also coming off an impressive win over Yair Rodriguez. Now, I think Ortega is going to submit Movsar. This is probably going to be the most controversial pick on this list, because Movsar is an excellent wrestler, I understand, but I think Movsar could even get knocked down, because from memory, I don't think Movsar really has hands, and it's more or less his wrestling, and you can do whatever you want to Ortega. You could crumple him up, you can blow his head off, you can roll his ankle, it doesn't matter. Eventually, he's going to find that submission. So yeah, I mean, I just think Brian Ortega is going to submit him. Lightweight. Now, this is a really interesting fight, in my opinion. The actual number one contender is Arman Tsarukyan. Now, Dan Hooker versus Max Holloway. This is not really realistic. I severely doubt this would happen. But in an alternate world, this would actually be a pretty logical number one contender fight. Because if you think about it, Dan Hooker's just beaten the number 5, Mateus Gamrot. And Max Holloway beat, I think, at the time, the number 2 or maybe even number 3, Justin Gaethje. Now, these are both top 5 wins. And considering that Charles is coming off a loss, Arman is the number 1, Dustin's coming off a loss, Gaethje's coming off a loss. These are the only 2 guys arguably deserving to fight for the belt with top 5 wins. So how do I see this fight going? I think Max Holloway will keep Hooker at a distance. Hooker's probably going to land a really brutal shot on Holloway, but you can't knock him down. They're going to go back and forth, and eventually Max is going to tee off on him. And I see Hooker going against the fence and eventually slumping and getting knocked out. I think it's going to have a really similar energy to the Arnold Allen fight. I didn't predict Dan Hooker to win over the weekends, but man, I'm so thankful he did. Realistically, I think Dan Hooker is probably going to fight Gaethje next. But still, in this scenario, I think Holloway would probably beat Dan Hooker by a KO. Next fight, welterweight. Now, this is the fight I think I'm most excited for, because it's realistic. And also, this is going to be really, really competitive. Now, my prediction, probably controversial. I think JDM is going to knock out Shavkat. Now, I justify this by saying JDM is an absolute dog. He's an animal. He's never, ever, ever going to be out-wrestled. Well, no, he will be out-wrestled, but he will get up. I think in the Gilbert fight, he showed that you can't keep him down, and he's really crafty. He's really, really crafty. He not only did he push himself away from Gilbert, he threw a beautiful knee. That's so intelligent. That's so smart. Not many people would have done that. Shavkat, don't get me wrong, this guy's also an animal. I think 17 straight finishes and undefeated in the UFC, undefeated overall, 100% finish rate. Still though, Shavkat, I think he's susceptible because from memory, I think he got dropped. Well, maybe not dropped, but he got rocked pretty badly by Jeff Neal. He may have even got dropped by Wonderboy rocked by Wonderboy at one point. I don't exactly remember, but JDM's boxing is just so crisp. And Shavkat, I don't think he's going to bring that same energy wrestling-wise as Gilbert did, because Gilbert understood, I can't stand with this guy, I need to get him on the ground. Shavkat, I think, is going to believe in his striking. He's probably going to go for some submissions here and there, but again, JDM, he's an animal. I don't think he'll be put away. So I've got him by KO because Shavkat is just too susceptible in my opinion. Still, I really want to see this fight made. I wish this happened at 305, but who knows? Maybe we could see it later in the year. Probably not. Another thing we could see is we could see this fight for the belt. Because in my opinion, Shavkat might beat Bilal, and if so, then JDM is the natural contender to go up and fight Shavkat. Middleweight, again, actual number one contender is Sean Strickland. Whether or not you think this is justified, doesn't matter. In the meantime, though, we have Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Now, I think Whittaker's going to get this by decision because I think early in the rounds, it's going to look like Whittaker's nearly put away multiple times, but he'll get out of it. He'll spin. He'll do something, And then as the fight progresses, Khamzat will probably gas out. He just won't be able to keep up with Robert's striking. I've seen a lot of people saying that Robert might be able to knock out Chimaev. I severely doubt, but who knows? Maybe it's possible. Still, I don't think Khamzat's got hands. Also, believe me, Khamzat's got hands, but I don't see him knocking out Whittaker either. So because of that, I think this is going to be a big point battle, and if I had to make a really specific prediction, I think this is going to be a 48-47 to Whittaker, in that he loses the first two, but then he just builds that energy. Khamzat's tired. He tees off on him. He could have some big moments. He could even score a takedown at the end of the round, really solidify it. And still, if Robert Whittaker were to beat Khamzat and then he fights the winner of DDP or Strickland, that's a great fight. But even though I love Whittaker, he's Australian, he's a hero, I'm Australian, I would like to see Khamzat fight for the belt, because even he may not deserve it, but I'd like to see how Khamzat versus DDP would go. That would be a really interesting fight, because it's like, can Khamzat beat DDP's wrestling? You never know, maybe he might have met his match at that point, and it'd just be a great fight to see. The hype behind it would be great, because Whittaker's respectful, but Khamzat's a bit of an animal. He'd do all kinds of crazy stuff at the press conference to get heated. It'd be great. Still, banger fight. I can't wait for UFC 308. Light heavyweight, Magomed Ankalaev versus Khalil Rountree Jr. Now, the reason why I don't have actual number one contender Magomed Ankalaev is because I don't think you get a title shot by going to a draw and then beating Johnny Walker, because at this rate, pretty much everyone on the light heavyweight, well, not everyone, but a lot of people in light heavyweight, especially in the top 10, have beat Johnny Walker in spectacular fashion. I don't think that warrants a title shot. Now, Khalil Rountree, I don't think he deserves the title shot either. If anything, it probably would be Magomed. Khalil's coming off an impressive streak, but this guy can be knocked out. And Ankalaev's got hands. He's really got hands. He's really dangerous, And the fact that Johnny Walker knocked this guy out, that is aged like milk. So if Johnny can, I think Ankalaev definitely could. And besides, he could also mix up the wrestling. But still, Khalil Rountree, that guy's an animal. I mean, he tries to stomp people when they're down. He fights like they owe him money. It's ridiculous, So still, if this fight were to happen, which obviously it probably won't, this would be a banger fight, and I'd be really excited to see it. I definitely put most of my money on say this fight is ending in a knockout, no doubt. Heavyweights, again, actual number one contender and the actual champion, Tom Aspinall. But still, the fight to make for the number one contender fight after that would be Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov too, because Gane, I mean, he beat, I can't even remember who he beat, but some random heavyweight knocked him out. Cool, he keeps his top two spot. But then Volkov, he's got a good streak going. He beat Pavlovich, which no one saw coming. I definitely didn't see that coming. And I think he's got momentum behind him. I think he's smart. I think he'll really take his time, and his striking has evolved so much that I think he'll probably piece up Cyril Gahn. Because Cyril Gahn, I really don't see him making waves anymore because he's preoccupied with movies, he's doing this, he's doing that, and the fact that he nearly got pieced up by Tuivasa, again, that is age like milk as well. So if Tuivasa can piece this guy up, Volkov definitely can with his new striking, so because of that, Volkov by decision. But I guess the big thing is I just can't wait for UFC 308. It's going to be great. So yeah, that does it for predicting my number one contender fights in the UFC in every single division. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, saying what other contender fights you think are good, and whether or not my predictions are good, wrong, whether you think I'm crazy, all kinds of things. I just want to get some comments. I want to get some feedback. I want to see the channel grow, guys. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Check out another video while you're here. I'm going to be dropping more videos in the future. I'll see all of you guys in the next video.